Inside the Imperial ship, Frieza sat firmly on his throne. The view of planet Earth was slowly approaching on the front screen. No one spoke. No one dared to disturb the Emperor at that moment. Lord, we're 30 minutes away from entering the orbit of planet 4032877, Earth. The pod Bardock stole was tracked to the system. Frieza didn't respond right away. Since then, we haven't detected any signals, neither from the girl nor Bardock. There's a possibility he's dead. Frieza slightly turned his head.
Dead? If he were dead, we'd know. That Saiyan stole 2 pods from me, risking his life and defying the Empire. He didn't do all that just to let himself die along the way. No, Bardock is alive.
But there's no trace of his energy. No transmissions.
That only means he's learned how to hide. I know him well. A man like him doesn't hand over his daughter and then just vanish. He's waiting, watching. Sooner or later, he'll come for her.
Kikono lowered his head, not daring to argue. Frieza stood up and walked to the center of the room.
If that girl is still alive, she can't be anywhere else. Earth is the only possible destination, but I won't move a single soldier until I'm absolutely sure.
Lord, one of our cloaked probes is already descending. It'll detect any unusual energy within minutes.
Perfect. I want no mistakes.
He crossed his arms and stared at the projection of the planet as it came closer.
If she's down there, I'll see her. And then I'll decide what to do with her.
A beep echoed through the command center. Everyone turned toward the main panel. Lord Frieza, the probe is transmitting now. We have real-time video from the planet's surface. Frieza stepped closer. A projection appeared before him. The image was stable. It showed a lush, peaceful forest. The camera panned until it focused on a moving figure. It was a girl, small, messy-haired, barefoot. Her clothes were worn and dirty. She ran through the trees with a stick in her hand, pretending to fight invisible enemies. She spun in the air, tripped over a root, fell to the ground, and laughed. Then she stood up again and resumed her game. Genetic match confirmed. It's her. Frieza said nothing. He watched the footage without a hint of emotion. The girl jumped from one rock to another, threw the stick into the air, and caught it like a sword. She swung her arms wildly, imitating combat techniques she didn't even know. Frieza raised his hand. The transmission paused.
Is this what I came to destroy?
No one answered.
This is the so-called threat that had you all so worried in your reports.
Silence continued.
An undisciplined brat, no training, playing with a stick as if it were a weapon.
He stared again at the frozen image. Kakarot was laughing, completely unaware of what was happening above.
What a waste of time.
Then shall we abort the mission?
No, don't touch her. Not yet.
Kikono looked at him, confused.
Bardock is alive, I'm convinced. And if he is, one day he'll want to see her again. If I destroy the girl, I lose the only bait that could draw him out. Look at her closely.
Everyone turned to the projection.
That creature, playing among the trees like a savage. She won't stay a child forever. When she grows up, she'll have questions. She'll be curious about her origin. About what she really is. She'll want to know why she's different, why she has abilities humans don't.
He leaned forward.
And that's where I'll come in. Females are easier to manipulate. Materialistic, vain. When she grows up, I'll offer her the entire universe, if she kneels before me.
Kikono frowned. Are you suggesting recruiting her? Frieza looked straight at him.
I'll make her one of my elite soldiers, or maybe even my right-hand man.
And if she refuses?
Then I'll kill her. But it will be on my terms, not now while she's still a filthy child who doesn't even know what she is.
He crossed his arms again.
Let no one know of our visit. We're leaving, and no one will speak of this.
As you command. Frieza stared one last time at the frozen image of Kakarot, still laughing among the trees.
Bardock thought he could mock me, but he just made the worst mistake of his life.
Bulma was checking her radar as she drove through the forest in her capsule bike. The beeping was getting louder. It's close. There's definitely a Dragon Ball around here. She stopped abruptly, got off the vehicle, and walked with the radar in hand. But before she could take another step, a figure dropped down in front of her from the trees.
Who are you? And what are you doing here?
Bulma jumped back in shock.
What the? Where did you come from?
Kakarot was watching her cautiously, frowning. Her tail swayed behind her.
This forest isn't yours. What are you looking for?
Easy, easy. I'm just looking for something. She showed her the 2-star ball.
Have you seen one of these?
Kakarot didn't lower her guard.
What do you want them for?
Because if you gather all 7, a dragon appears and grants a wish. That's all.
I don't don't believe you.
What?
Why not? You could be a thief or someone dangerous. Hey, I'm just looking for the Dragon Balls. I didn't come here to fight some wild girl.
At that moment, a deep voice called from the distance. Kakarot, what's going on? The old man appeared through the trees, quickly walking toward them. When he saw Bulma, he paused for a moment. And who might you be?
Hello, sir. My name is Bulma. I swear I didn't come to cause trouble. I'm just looking for some magical orbs. My radar picked one up right here.
Did she hurt you?
No, but she showed up out of nowhere.
Gohan sighed and walked over to the cabin. He returned holding an orange orb with 4 stars. Is this what you're talking about?
Yes, that's the one. Could you give it to me? Grandpa, no.
Calm down, Kakarot. She hasn't done anything wrong.
But we don't know if she's telling the truth.
Gohan thought for a moment. What if you could go with her?
I'll keep an eye on her. Whatever, but if you're coming, don't get in the way. Don't give me orders.
Gohan smiled, knowing the journey would be a long one for the both of them. The first town they reached wasn't particularly impressive, but it served as a starting point for Bulma to realize something very important. Kakarot wasn't an ordinary girl. Not just because of her strength, it was the way she analyzed every situation, how she refused to be tricked or manipulated, and how she set boundaries without hesitation. The case of the terrifying Oolong was the first clear example. The so-called monster terrorizing the village was actually just a cowardly pig with shape-shifting powers. In the original story, Bulma used him for convenience, but Kakarot didn't fall for blackmail or threats. She didn't even flinch when Oolong tried to transform to scare her. With just a few words, Kakarot reduced him to a trembling sack of fear.
You can change forms, but you're still a coward. You're useless to me. If you want to come along, it'll be because you choose to, not because I'm afraid of you.
With no other option, Oolong ended up tagging along, more like a resigned pet than an actual ally. Later on, when Yamcha and Puar ambushed them in the desert, the outcome was clearly different from canon. Yamcha, seeing a girl as the lead of the group, underestimated everything. "Hand over your capsules and no one gets hurt," he shouted confidently, waving his sword. Kakarot didn't even blink. She simply raised an eyebrow and vanished from sight. By the time Yamcha could react, his head was buried in the sand, his sword snapped in half, and the Saiyan girl had her foot pressed on his neck.
"That was a threat?"
she asked with no emotion whatsoever. Yamcha was so humiliated he didn't try attacking her again. Instead, he began following them from the shadows out of pure pride, hoping one day he could find a way to defeat her. Though deep down he knew that it would never happen. Their journey continued until they reached Frypan Mountain, where Kakarot's presence changed the canon even further. Upon arrival, they weren't greeted with the usual violence from the Ox King. In fact, seeing a fearless girl approach the flames with a staff and a cold stare, the Ox King decided to listen before acting. Kakarot didn't need to use violence. She simply studied the situation, understood the fire couldn't be extinguished by normal means, and deduced that Master Roshi was the key. When Roshi arrived to put out the fire, he made his usual dramatic entrance. But this time he was met with the unflinching gaze of a girl who didn't tolerate nonsense. The pervy stunt he usually pulled on Bulma wasn't even suggested in Kakarot's presence.
"You control the fire. Put it out. And don't do anything stupid."
After using his Kamehameha wave to reduce the mountain to ashes, Kakarot stared at him, intrigued.
"Can you teach me that?"
"I could try, but you'd have to train hard." Though deep down he knew. Then came the encounter with Pilaf and his lackeys. In this version of the story, they actually managed to gather all the Dragon Balls, but never get the chance to make a wish. Kakarot had realized from the very beginning that they were being followed, and acted first. When Pilaf summoned Shenron, the girl was already standing behind him. Oolong didn't need to shout for panties because Kakarot simply shattered the dragon with a burst of energy before anyone could say a word. Shenron vanished, the Dragon Balls scattered, and Pilaf was left unconscious from a single shove. That night, a full moon shone in the sky, but Kakarot never looked up. Her grandfather had spoken clearly to her about the effects of a Saiyan with a tail gazing at the full moon, endangering everyone around them. Unlike Goku in another reality, who didn't understand the warning, Kakarot grasped it quickly and deeply. As a result, the castle was never destroyed. While Bulma and the others didn't fully grasp what that meant, Kakarot was already several steps ahead. Once the chaos was over, Kakarot decided she had seen enough of the world, for now. She thanked Bulma for the experience, but said it was time to train, seriously. Bulma couldn't believe a girl like her existed. She didn't know if it was luck, destiny, or a bad dream gone wrong. But she felt envy. Kakarot shone too brightly and did everything effortlessly. The men they met along the way couldn't stop staring at her, and that annoyed Bulma. "Do whatever you want. It was my adventure anyway." Training with Roshi would be next. After parting ways with Bulma, Kakarot returned briefly to the mountain to visit her grandfather Gohan. She told him about the situations she had faced, the people she'd met. Though for her, it hadn't been a big deal. Everything had been easy. Too easy. Maybe there's no one out there who can truly test you yet. It wasn't arrogance, just a fact. No one had posed a real challenge so far. At times, when she closed her eyes or focused deeply, she would catch brief flashes. A figure standing with his back turned, facing a pond. A strong but calm male voice. A hand resting on her head. They were vague images with no clear meaning. She didn't know who it was. And though she never spoke of it, sometimes she fell silent, as if something inside her felt incomplete. One day, Gohan told her if she wanted to keep discovering more about the world, she could visit an old acquaintance who lived on an island, Master Roshi. That old man owed him a favor from long ago, and maybe, just maybe, he could teach her something. Though Gohan wasn't sure if there was anything left to teach. Kakarot accepted with low expectations. Not because she felt she needed to improve, but because it seemed like a different way to spend time. Roshi saw her coming from afar and greeted her on the beach. "You're back." "Yeah, I got bored." The old man studied her carefully. Her energy was overwhelming, but her demeanor was calm. She didn't have the aggression or pride he'd seen in many great fighters. She was just there, peacefully. He agreed to train her, not out of routine, but because he genuinely wanted to see how far this girl could go. Soon after, another boy arrived, Krillin. He had a clear goal: to impress, to win, to stand out. But when he saw Kakarot lifting massive boulders like feathers and running at speeds he couldn't even track with his eyes, his spirits dropped. She didn't boast, she just did. Roshi's classic training methods, delivering milk, cleaning with heavy shells, running through trap-filled fields, had no effect. Kakarot completed everything without breaking a sweat. So Roshi changed his approach. He began teaching her martial arts history, battle strategies, combat philosophy. She absorbed it all. Remembered names, styles, weaknesses, even improved techniques just by analyzing them. It wasn't just physical power, it was mind, it was vision. And sometimes, while training or meditating alone at sunset, those flashes returned. That figure, that pod, that voice, and a word she couldn't quite grasp. Father. But it meant nothing to her, it was just an echo. Months passed and Roshi decided to take them to the 21st World Martial Arts Tournament. She won the 21st World Martial Arts Tournament without breaking a sweat. Each of her opponents was defeated in seconds, including veterans who had trained their entire lives. Not even Jackie Chun, a disguised master trying to teach her humility, could make her flinch. Her technique, her power, and her absolute composure left him humiliated in front of the entire crowd. Kakarot simply took the prize without boasting, while the audience still struggled to understand what kind of warrior they had just witnessed. Her serious face and distant attitude made it clear. For her, winning had been as simple as breathing. In the weeks that followed, her name began to spread across the world. The Red Ribbon Army, a ruthless paramilitary organization searching for the Dragon Balls to conquer the planet, heard about her. At first, their higher-ups didn't take her seriously, until it was too late. One by one, the Red Ribbon commanders and bases began to fall. The Northern Base, Muscle Tower, General Blue, headquarters, none of them could stop her. Not even the legendary assassin Tao Pai Pai was a challenge. The moment he attacked, Kakarot knocked him out cold with a single blow, without even powering up. Eventually she reached the Red Ribbon headquarters and left no stone unturned. It wasn't a battle, it was an execution. No complex techniques, just her raw strength, speed, and lethal awareness of her surroundings. By the time it was over, every high-ranking officer was neutralized, and the Dragon Balls were in her hands. She returned to Siupa and used the orbs to fulfill her promise, revive Bora. Years went by, and while all of Master Roshi's students and other martial artists trained hard for the 22nd World Martial Arts Tournament, Kakarot decided not to participate. It's a waste of time. None of them are a real challenge. Not even her grandfather Gohan could convince her. To Kakarot, repeating what she had already done years ago made no sense. She knew it would be an empty victory, like all the others. She watched the tournament on TV from the mountain, alongside her grandfather. She observed the fights, watched their efforts. She was mildly surprised to see Roshi disguised yet again, still trying to teach lessons she had long since outgrown. Yamcha, Krillin, even Tien. They all seemed like they were playing in a lower league, not from lack of training, but from natural limits. However, something changed. A few hours after the tournament ended, the TV channel interrupted its programming with breaking news. The anchor's words were direct and cold. We regret to inform that one of the tournament's participants, young Krillin, was found dead in the stadium hallways just minutes ago. Authorities are investigating. Kakarot, without saying a word, clenched her fists. Something inside her had been triggered. It was the first time someone close had died during her journey. And it wasn't an accident. She knew it. She felt it.
That boy, we saw him at the tournament. He seemed harmless. Who would want to kill him?
It wasn't a human. The energy in the air, it's dirty. Disgusting.
What are you going to do?
Find whoever did it.
Without wasting a second, she rose into the air. Gohan tried to call out to her, worried, but she was already gone, flying at full speed, following the faint trail of dark energy still lingering in the air. A signature only someone like her could detect. After Krillin's death, Kakarot hunted down the killer and his master without hesitation. Tambourine was intercepted mid-flight and slammed into the ground with a single blow. He didn't even get a chance to fight back. She crushed him like a cockroach, without remorse, without effort. Then she went after King Piccolo, facing him head-on. Her power was so overwhelming, the old demon could barely move before she vaporized him with a single energy blast. There was no drama, no drawn-out fight, just a cold, swift execution. To Kakarot, there were noisy insects, disturbing the balance. After that, she disappeared. No explanation, no trace. She knew she was far too powerful and saw no point in staying surrounded by such weak people. Grandpa Gohan was the only one who understood her decision and let her go. Years passed. She was now an adult, strong, confident, and in full control of her abilities. She could fly, sense ki, and fight with absolute precision. At times, she still had strange visions of a past she didn't understand, but she didn't dwell on them. She was in total control of her power and the world around her. Meanwhile, in the mountains, Gohan had gone out for a walk, but a sinister voice echoed nearby. It was Frieza.
So, you're the old man that brat calls Grandpa. What a shame for what I'm about to do to you, old fool.